All right, so to begin, got our chair. Make sure you have some space around you. Again, we always start with this opening practice of seated meditation to calibrate the brain and body, and also to set the correct relationships between all the body parts. Very important, especially when you have postural misalignments or just habits that are in place that are not really working for you. So as best you can, try to find this central pillar, zhongjang, or central upright, the head placed on top, allowing this straight line down through the middle of the body, down through the two buttock bones, down through the chair, down through your two legs. You've got this pillar, central pillar. And then only when we've got that intact can we really practice Chungwan, which is relaxing, softening, so that there is a sinking quality, a soft, sunken down quality, which grounds us and gives us stability in terms of up and down stability. But then also that relaxation allows for what's called Qingling, or lightness and nimbleness through the body. So if I'm holding tension, I'm less nimble and my body's more stuck. Then as I relax and soften, then there's sort of like a lubrication through the body, which then you see in Tai Chi movement, this fluidity that becomes available. But we do have to keep our central pillar intact so that when we relax, there's not a crumpling of the structure. There's this dilation and spacing. And then we'll just do about 8 long, smooth breath cycles. In through the nose. Hold full. So hold the full lung state, stretching yourself open from the inside out. And then when you're ready, exhale out the nose or the mouth, all the way out, and then hold empty for a little bit. And then when you're ready, inhale again, long, smooth, and full. Hold full. And then exhale when you're ready. Hold empty. And you'll do it again. A couple more. It's 3. Really feel the movement of the moving parts in your breathing. Opening, lifting, expanding, broadening, yang. And then exhaling, softening, melting, closing, settling, consolidating, yin. And then again, this burgeoning, growing, expanding yang experience. And then the yin experience. The body requires that to stay functional, to have quality life force. We can't allow this shrinking and this mediocre movement. It has to be aliveness and movement through the body. Now, slide your hands, elbows, and shoulder blades back. Chest up, chin up, arch the back. Spinal extension. Then the opposite of that. Slide the hands forward past your knees, hollow the chest, drop the head, round the back. And then slide the hands, elbows, shoulder blades back, arching. Full breath in, looking up. And then slide the hands forward past the knees, hollow the chest, round. We'll do this a couple times more. Same idea as with the breathing. We want our movement to really get to the end points of the range of motion. So whether it's Parkinson's or whether it's just aging in general, what we see is human beings, brains and bodies narrow and shrink and start to become really sort of, again, mediocre in their expressiveness. And so if you look at all the Taoist movement practices, Qigong, Tai Chi, they really focus on this idea of total range, completing every movement. So it's not about doing 1,000,000 repetitions, it's about being thorough. Now go ahead and settle to the middle and bring that same approach of thoroughness to the rotational plane. Left hand forward, right hand and elbow back. Turn the shoulders, turn the head, get as around on this direction as you can. Inhale as you come back to center. And then exhale, turning the other way. Right hand forward, left hand and elbow back. Turn, look over the shoulder. And when you're ready, inhale back to center. Exhale, turn. Inhale back to center. Exhale. Center. Turn. Inhale, center. Turn. Let's do 2 more. Pay attention also to the idea not just of thoroughness to the ends of the range of motion, but smooth movement between the 2 ends. Smooth. So it's got to be thorough and smooth. Then bring it back to center. Hang your arms alongside you. Softly tip the body to the right. As you tip to your right, lift your left wrist up. Left foot could empty and float. And then back to middle. Now when you come back to middle, this place in your body, the navel, is this middle equilibrium point. So then you're teetering this way. This belly is sort of the middle of the seesaw. So this buttock is kind of off the chair. This buttock has more weight. This leg has more weight. This is high. This is low. And then we switch. But as you're exploring these 2 yins and yang changes of full, empty, high, and low, just keep your mind aware that what you're really doing is cultivating and developing your middle pivot. That you have a middle pivot that can be very functional or it can be sort of non-functional. So we got to develop. 1 more each way. And then we come back to middle. And again, scapular range of motion. We go forward, up, back, down, neutral, forward, up, back, down, neutral. Taking these scapula. And Karen, I see you're getting your headphones on. Can you not hear me very well? Am I too soft today?
No, I have a house cleaner making a lot of noise on my.
I see. Sorry. So we're circling these scapula or letting them go through their whole range of motion. Again, Chris, remember, you got to really go for it. You got to really go for it. So you got to go forward. Right? You got to take those scapula apart and then up and then back and then down. So the term shapeshifter always comes to mind. when I'm practicing, realizing the Taoist view is we have to change positions. So we're sort of stuck in a position, and then we're just stuck in that position, and then we're stuck in that position. So you have to change into this shape, and then lift and change into this shape, and then take the shoulders back and change. So now the chest is expanding and it's staying expanded, but then it settles to neutral, and then it's got a hollow as the scapula come forward, and then lift, and then back as the chest puffs out, and then down, and then neutral. Let's reverse. Back and up, forward and down. So the only thing that can make these changes, again, some of the work I do privately with people is, especially with the Parkinson's community where they're having trouble moving their own body, I can actually move the body for them. So that is one thing that can help. But the only other thing that can move your body is your will, your mind. So they call that the E. So again, if I'm just doing this, something's got to change. Something's got to change as in, okay, my mind gets more attentive. Mind gets more attentive. So really you're training the mind when you're doing these different body exercises. And it's tricky with something like Parkinson's because sometimes the mind is willing, but the body communication's off and it won't do it, right? But what I have noticed with my work with folks is that when they apply the mind correctly, the body still responds, especially with Tai Chi style, when it's soft, when it's relaxed. Now bend your elbows, flare the elbows out, and all the way up. And then down, around and in, touch. Down, out to the sides and up. Down, around and in. One more. And back. Down, forward, up, or as up as you can go. Forward, down, back. Down, forward, up. And again, less is more, or fewer are more. Fewer reps done with very attentive thoroughness, right? And smoothness. This is what really polishes out what's stuck in the way, is not yanking on the body, going slow, smooth, and attentive. Then out, one above, one below, cross, wrap, get around your torso, then open, get all the way to the open position, and then switch and cross and close, and then open, switch, cross, close, open, close, open, and release. That's sort of the minimal series of spinal, shoulders, arms loosening. Now let's do the minimal leg before we stand up. So knee up, heel drawn in, load, push, load, down, switch, load, push, load, down, switch, load, push. Remember, thorough is the key. So speed isn't your friend in the beginning. You got to get all the way loaded, all the way extended, all the way loaded, down. Now, foot and ankle, straighten the leg, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. Now tilt the foot in, out, tilt, tilt, tilt. Now circle, in, around, and out, and up, and over, and in, around, and out, and up, and over. Circle, circle, circle. Reverse, out, around, and in. Circle. And other foot. So this is all just sort of minimal flossing the teeth. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. Now tilt the foot a little in, out, in, out, in, out. And now circles. In, point, out, flex, circle. Reverse. Out, around, and in. And down. Now you scoot all the way to the front edge. Again, minimal, we're just doing minimal seated work so that we can get to our standing work. Step a little wider than hip distance. We got to get the rotators of the hips. Lift your toes and turn toes and knees in, internal rotation. Lift your toes, toes and knees out, external rotation. Toes and knees in, toes and knees out. Toes and knees in, toes and knees out. Toes and knees in, toes and knees out. And we're back to neutral. Feet hip distance. Now from that same hip space, hip hinge, forward fold. Sit upright. Tip back. Key to this one is that you aren't rounding the spine. You're making this whole change in the body's position from the correct pivot points of the hip space on either leg. So the legs are stable and the pelvis is folding. And then sitting upright and leaning back. Upright and fold. And then we use all of that we just did to safely and correctly stand up and sit down. So slide the feet back. Hip hinge. Pour the weight out of the chair going forward, and then the weight's down through your legs and you just root down. That Chun One concept of letting go so that the weight sinks down underneath and grounds us. And then what's left is your loose, relaxed body. And then just do this movement a couple of times. So let's get good at this, where the legs, the knees are not bending. So too often what I'm seeing people do when they're getting ready to sit down is they push the knees forward first, and that immediately sets the knees up for wear and tear. So this movement first, and the looseness through the shoulders is key for that to feel good. You have to feel empty in the upper body, soft and relaxed, so that when you tip back, you keep your equilibrium naturally. And then just fold from the hips. So my knees are bending, but not because I'm pushing the knees, but because I'm continuing to sit here. And then this just happens naturally in a way that the knees very much enjoy. And then you sit down. Again, so it's the hips. The weight stays down underneath as you come up, so you don't grab on with the body. And then the first thing you do before you sit is hips back, and then you sink right through this space here, folding. Get good at this mechanism, and everything else will be organized. It simplifies everything. It's saying you can just be relaxed through the body and operate your vehicle from the middle. So now, without sitting in the chair, fold and sink and then rise. So see if you can get this to be polished and smooth. So it's the sinking, rising without any wear and tear. Make sure, Marjan, I couldn't quite see, but make sure you're not just bending like this. Make sure it's this sitting quality and then this rising quality. Yeah, so it's this sink and rise. Very good. Okay, stay standing. And we've got our Tai Chi practice. So this initial standing position, we want to have not locked knees, not gripped hips and belly, not grabbing in the shoulders. We want everything to be soft and loose. And let the knees have some give, right? This idea that you're not bending your knees, but they're bendable. They could bend. So try this little sort of soft knee thing that I'm doing here. Now, keeping that soft knee situation, let's do our Tai Chi. So as if you are painting the wall in front of you, hands float up. What you want to notice here is that there's a roundness, there's a hollowness as you come up. And then before you go down, there's a sinking through that hollowness here, which also changes here. So it's sinking and then down. Why is that important? Well, it's sort of like the flossing teeth idea, or if you were someone who was charged with going into a factory and cleaning the different machines that run the factory. You have to get inside the gears and machine parts and make sure there's not residue, right? So I could do something that kind of looks like I'm doing this exercise, but you can see this area is not changing at all. So the gunk is remaining in there. So when you come up, you might even exaggerate this rounded shape so that you can really feel that change. And also, Karen, notice my hand, how it goes through this whole change, all the way to the tips of the fingers, right? So they don't stay sort of in that shape. So they're very much like so. And then at the top, yeah, exactly right. So finish it with your mind all the way to the tips of the fingers. And then the same thing when you come down, let it finish. So this idea of thorough attentiveness to all the parts of the body, rather than thinking how many of these movements did I do or how many new movements did I learn, we're getting better at being more thorough with each movement, getting more out of each repetition, getting more change, more shape shift, more freedom at all these different mechanics. Now, scoop the hands in front, and we're going to do the same movement, but out to the side. So out, and then this change, you can see it in my shoulders and shoulder blades, that change, that settling that then ripples out to the fingertips. Down. And then on the way out, again, I'm going to exaggerate again, round, right? I'm almost shape shifting like so on the way out. I'm doing more than you should, but I'm trying to really illustrate it so that you see all that change through the scapula and shoulders and arms and forearms and wrists and fingers and down and under and then round. The arms are kind of turned in a little bit so that we can get this slight turn external, this spiral. What is wonderful about the body is also a problem with the body. It's got so many different intricate moving parts and different spirals that we have to move them, otherwise they accumulate rust and gunk. Now, wing, turn palms up or roll, and then just from the elbow, should fit right into this space. And when you come in, so Karen, really everybody, look at the hands. Notice I'm not like this, but I'm also not like this. Keep this through line all the way to the fingers, down. Because what often happens with this one, a couple more, is as we come over top, people drop the wrist too much. So keep the cabin pressure all the way to the tips of the fingers. Right? So Karen, look at your right hand and notice how your fingers are kind of like that. If you can, yeah, good, extend and do it a little more on both sides. Get the fingers to, yeah, find that extend
right? Because anywhere like this, you could think of it as a kink in the garden hose, kinking the flow. So you want to keep that tong is the word, throughness. So when practicing Tai Chi, that's what you start paying attention to is, oh, do I have any places that are not tong or not through? Pay attention all the way to the tips of the fingers. Check those finger knuckles again, especially in your right hand there. And down. Now reverse. Come in, backs of hands face each other. Come up. And then as we're going out, palms face forward-ish. Forward, palms face forward. And then out over top. As you're going, the palms end up facing out. And then eventually facing down. As you then sweep down and under. And so paying attention to that intricate nuance there. Backs of hands touch. Keep hands close to the body. Come all the way up. Then as you go out and up, out and over the top, palms face forward. So there's a spiral. By the time the hands get out, the palms are facing out and then down. And then wing. Internal rotation. Up. Out over top, palms face forward, then out, then down. That's a spiraling. One more time. Good. Now embracing moon, which adds the asymmetrical challenge, wings. Turn right palm up as it comes over top. Left hand winging under. Then like two magnets attract. Repel. Around. So that right hand's doing what we just practiced. Your left hand winging. And then roll and fold that left hand as right hand's coming under. Top and bottom of a big ball. Come to the middle of that ball. Go back to the top and bottom of the ball. Go around. Top and bottom. Middle. Top and bottom. Let's do one more each side. Again, remember, learning what the movement is the beginning. And then you start to practice these different qualities of throughness, softness, smoothness. And down. Scoop and bring the hands right up about chest height and actually come all the way up and then turn the hands over down. As you come down, think heels of hands lead. So you see how my wrists and hands, I'm exaggerating again, but heels of hands lead. And when you go down, it's not just the hands, have your whole body do a little bit of a sink through. And I'm not doing a full squat, but I'm allowing a throughness down to the earth. Through. Then relax the wrists completely, scoop, rising, the body rising, straightening up a little bit, the hands coming up, turn the hands over, and then down through. Relax. Come up, turn over, then scoop. Up, and soft. Now scoop, bring hands up to chest, pull elbows back, turn the hands, fingers, and palms forward, and G or forward, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, but keeping your ground, so you're not pulling yourself off your center. And then bring your hands around, palms face you, draw. Turn your hands and push. Turn your hands, drop. Turn your hands, push. Turn, drop. Remember, thorough. So if you're going slower than I'm going, don't worry about it. Just be thorough. You might do 2 for my 7 reps, but it's better if you get all the way to the end points and really clean those mechanisms in the machine. Then we're going just the left hand, your left hand push. So it's 1 push straight ahead, 1 stays back, and let this turn your body from this mechanism here. So there's a little turn. Then left hand face the body, right hand turn the face forward, and it's 1 draw, 1 push, turning from this mechanism. So you're keeping your middle pivot and middle equilibrium, but having freedom of movement around it and through it. And this is the beginning level Tai Chi movement of repel the monkey. We're going to do the next version. So now, as you push this hand forward, this hand comes more down here in a sort of cradle position, like so. So, boom. And there's a moment where this hasn't fully extended and this is here, and you can kind of see a sort of organization here in this position, right? Now, finish fully extending your left hand forward. The body turns, and your right arm wing. Remember, we did wing, roll, fold, so it's the same thing, except the body is turned. So you're just winging out from the shoulder, then roll and fold that right hand over top, left palm facing up, and now it's 1 drawing back down here and 1 pushing forward, so you have this shape. So this shape, we'll call this neutral. The hips are neutral, arms are in this position, and then you turn more and finish extending right arm. Left arm's gonna wing, roll. As it's folding over top, turn your right palm up. And then from the hips, turn, get to the neutral position where you've got, like I showed again, this position. And then you keep turning, finish extending the left, wing the right arm, wing, roll. As it's folding over top, turn your left palm up, and then turn neutral, and get that left hand lower. So try to discern between, like before we were here, right? Now we're discerning high and low, which is again a nice challenge for the brain and body. And then finish extending right arm forward, left arm wing. Turn your body more left, so it's turn, wing, roll, fold. As that hand's folding over top, turn right palm up, and then we turn back to center. And then keep turning, wing, roll. As it's folding over, turn left palm up, and then it's turn. And then turn. And this would be one that's done walking backwards while you're coordinating all of this, right? So that's advanced Tai Chi. And of course, we work on the walking training on Monday. And we work on the upper body coordination on Friday. And sometimes we blend them. And bring down, loose. Now, from your middle pivot, change your weight to the right leg. We work on this in that Monday class where we're getting this discernment between empty and full. And then what we add here is this turning, shift, and turn. So that's where it starts to become Tai Chi, not just Tai Chi principles for walking, but it becomes Tai Chi practice where we're really treating our mechanisms to a full cleansing, sort of full lubrication oil bath, right? So now as you shift and turn right, sweep. So this is called brush knee. Brush knee, sweep the leg, and then the hands turn, and it's shift, turn, brush, sweep. And then we're going, turning the hands, shift, turn, brush, sweep. Turn the hands. Shift, turn, brush, sweep. Turn the hands. Shift, turn, brush, sweep. The bear washing its paws in the stream. Then the bear swirls the stream. So now this same hand's going to brush knee, but this hand's going to sweep out but not up. So it's out and low. So discern for yourself with your brain and body how you're going forward with that hand so it's far away from your body, but it's not coming up in space around. And then brush knee and swirl. Brush and swirl. That cleans a certain area of the body, that uses the mechanisms in a particular way. Then we lift the sweeping hand and come across for the bear swats the jumping fish. So this changes the use of the mechanism. Brush knee, swat fish. Then they have to changing high to low now. So that's an added challenge on the brain body. We're still getting shift leg, we're still getting turn from the middle, but we're just executing another combination of mechanics. Then we go for the higher jumping fish, so around forehead level or higher, face, forehead, wherever higher is for you today based on your shoulder, freedom of movement. Remember, thorough. So you're not trying to do 1,000 of these movements, you're just trying to have each one be valuable in the sense that it's thorough. And then go for the highest, where you're really reaching as high up in the sky as you possibly can, and then feeling that as the hand comes down, there's a sort of sinking through the body, like we practiced earlier when we were doing this up and down one. We have this sink, and then when you're reaching up, rising, straightening the body, getting as much reach as you can possibly get as you turn, and then being able to soften through the tissues and joints as the hand comes down. Let's do that once more each way. This one's really important because a lot of times when we reach higher, people pull themselves off the ground instead of stay grounded, but lengthen like elastic. The different body parts and layers of tissue separate from each other so that the body has this youthful, pliable function. Now, as your left hand comes down, keep it on the right side of your body. Wing, roll, fold. Now we're ready for the brush and push. Shift, turn from your middle pivot, turn. Bottom hand brush knee, top hand push. So that has a flow. Then right hand drops down into the water on the left side of the body. Left arm wing, roll, fold, and shift and turn and brush knee and push. Pull, extend. Left hand dips into the water, right arm fold. And just remember, the goal is the mechanisms, the mechanics, the cleaning off of the machinery. So a lot of times people do this one and they do something like this, right? They kind of hurry up and go here, but we want to sort of exaggerate, wing, then roll, then fold, and then shift and turn, and we're close to the body. We want to make sure we extend and stay where we are and get this full freedom of movement, and then let it get around that corner and return to loaded position, and then shift and turn, and from loaded or stored position to issued or expressed. Right? And the middle is still the middle, but we're getting freedom of movement of the parts to come in close and then extend far away. get around, and then they come in close, and then they get far away. So even though you've done this movement, however many times you've done it now, are you getting better at using it like any tool to affect the change that we're going for? Scapular, loose, turning, quad, extend and unextend and gather, right? Now, pause with all your weight in your left leg. Right foot, just step it a teeny bit behind you with the toes turned out. So your right foot's my left foot turned out a little. Put all your weight into this right leg and just sit in it for a moment. Try to get to where you can take the left foot and put it out in front, just touching, lightly touching. And a lot of times people put the foot too far out in front. It could be right in front, and that would be better because then you're working on vertical, working on soft and loose, right? So as you got all your weight in that right leg, bend your left elbow and point your left fingertips up, and your right hand, rather than just hanging or stuck, have it floating. Floating. Now bring your left foot back, heels touching with your left toes pointed out a little. Change the weight down through your left leg. Left hand down. Bend right elbow, right fingertips point up, and put right foot out in front, lightly touching. Again, our goal here is 100, 0. Zhong or central upright. High hand, low hand with awareness all the way to the tips of the fingers. Yeah, good, Karen. That same thing of not allowing the little kinks. Pay attention to the pinky and the ring and the middle and the index. Bring your mind into all these places. Now bring your right foot back, heels touching, toes turned out. Change the weight from the middle. Change the weight. Hands exchange. One down, one up as this foot touches out in front. See if we can put it all together now. So bring the left foot back, nothing changes, heels touching, toes turned out. And then as you change the weight, that's when the hands change and this foot floats out and touches. Bring the right foot back, nothing changes in the hand. Then change the weight and everything changes together. That's the challenge of Tai Chi, is these little obstacle courses of simultaneous asymmetrical change. Bring the left foot back, change. Golden rooster, standing on one leg. Bring that foot back, golden rooster on the other leg, change. Left foot comes back, change. Right foot back, change. And step to the side here, wash your paws. Wash your paws. Now stay in your right leg. Sweep the leg with the left hand and then float it up like a vapor, and then it becomes a cloud. So now we got cloud hands. Change your weight to your left leg, turn, cloud, lake. Then the cloud rains down as the lake vapors up. And now we've got set up to go. Change weight to right leg, turn from your middle pivot, cloud, lake, and then change and be clear. So there's again another clear, high and low. They're not sort of close to each other. They're separate, softly released from each other. Shift and turn, cloud up high, lake down low, and then there's a clear change. So we're getting freedom of movement, organized by the middle, changing full to empty, empty to full. Not about reps, it's not about hurrying up and getting to the endpoints, it's about all the little change, 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 change. Just like on a muscle, if your muscle was able to If you were trying to get that muscle bigger, you increase the load in some way, whether that's more weight or other ways of doing it. So how do we increase the load on the brain, nervous system, and body's efficient connection to each other? That's Tai Chi. It's this slow process of pay attention, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Don't check out when you go through this chain. And then stay attentive. Maybe you're even attending to your breath. Maybe you're even attending to what thoughts are dancing around in the head and eventually clearing those so that your mind is just a spacious lens. Now, both hands down. Wash. Wash. Set. Bring your left hand to the bottom part of a ball. Put your right hand behind your back. Now, change your weight to your right leg and turn to the right. So imagine you're going to throw a frisbee at an upward diagonal. It's called flying diagonal. So your palm stays facing up, the hand goes forward, and then shift and turn and get that hand to end up. Started here, ends up here. Turn the palm out, wing, lake, bottom of ball. Flying diagonal, hand goes forward, shift and turn. Top corner, turn the palm out, wing, shift and turn, lake, bottom of ball. Two more. Shift, turn, flying diagonal. Spiral the palm out, wing, turn, scoop, and one more. Let's do that with the other arm. Bring the right hand out. Wash your paws to the left. Put left hand behind your back. Right hand bottom of ball. Now, out in front. Shift, turn. Flying diagonal. Turn the palm out. Wing. Shift, turn. Sweep the leg. Bottom of ball. And then hand casting forward as you shift. Turn. Then turn palm out. Wing. Shift, turn, leg, bottom of ball, past hand forward, shift, turn, wing, flying diagonal, turn palm out, wing, leg, one more time, shift, turn. Bring your left hand out. Wash your paws back to the middle. Pause here. Now left palm under, right hand over. One track, two track, together simultaneously opposite. Right? So that relationship, but now put that on that diagonal so that this hand's going from low to high, this hand's going from high to low, stroking the wild horse's mane, and then reverse. Do that one more time. Stroking wild horse's mane. Now remember the embrace the moon. Turn left palm out, right palm up. Wing, lift, embrace the moon. Stroke the wild horse's mane. Turn left palm out, right palm up. Embrace the moon. Now add, shift to the right leg, turn to the right. Stroke wild horse's mane as you shift to the left leg, turn to the left. Turn left palm out, right palm up. Shift to the right leg, turn to the right. Embrace moon to a ball. Shift left, turn left. Stroke wild horse's mane. Turn right palm out, left palm up, or other way around. Shift and turn.
One more. Turn the palms, embrace the moon. Now, right hand down, turn your left palm, wash. Wash. Settle. Right palm under, left palm over. Parallel tracks. And return. Now on the diagonal, parallel tracks, one going from low to high, other high to low. And turn. Stroking wild horse's mane into embrace the moon. Turn right palm out, left palm up. Embrace the moon. As you're embracing moon, shift your weight to your left leg and turn from your middle mechanism. Turn and gather. Now we're going shift and turn to the right as you stroke wild horse's mane. Turn right palm out, left palm up, shift and turn. Hold the ball. Shift and turn. Stroke wild horse's mane. Shift and turn. Embrace the moon. Shift and turn. Shift and turn. Freedom of movement. Organized around and through your middle. Now let's put those two together. We go stroke wild horse's mane. Now stay in your right leg, turn a little more, sweep your left hand under to the bottom of the ball, right hand roll folds over, and then we go stroke wild horse's mane to the left. Stay in your left leg, right hand sweeps under, left hand fold over, turn a little more, sort of a gathering to then, it's like a wind-up toy. We're all wound up, and then we're unwinding, unspooling, expressing. So there's this yang, and then this relaxation, and then a sort of a returning, gathering. Stay in your right leg there, stay in your right leg, turn more to the right, so that you're stored to go express, make sure the right hand finishes its movement, left hand finishes both, and then sweep right hand under, left hand over, spooling, gathering, holding, and then express. And then left hand under, right hand over, gathering, and then issuing. And left hand down, wash. So, last thing we'll do, put all your weight in your left leg, turn your right foot out a little bit, 5 degrees, so a little bit, not too much. Change 100% of your weight to your right leg and step your left foot forward, but notice in my feet, what I don't allow to happen is this. This is what normally happens. The tightness in the hips brings the leg over. So we want to keep width. So if you see I've got, let's say, hip distance or shoulder distance space between my heels, I want to retain that distance even when I step this foot forward. Now, shift 70%, keeping your back heel down, and keep about 30% or so in that back leg. It just really means this is considered your primary leg, but you haven't left this leg completely. So it's just more and less. And then back, right, back into this. Now here you want 100 and 0. And then you go 70, 30,
100, 0. And you might remember from the walking class on Monday, primary direction is down. So even though I've just moved myself forward, I'm not going forward or pushing through my knee. I'm just going down and then down and then down. So this is the sort of main martial arts stance where you practice what's called push hands, where you and a partner work on not trying to throw each other around, but you work on finding each other's core balance points. Let's go ahead and switch to foot position. Bring the left foot back, toes turned out, change the weight. The weight is 100% through the back leg. That frees this foot to be able to stay wide and step forward, and then work on down, 70, and then 100. 70, 30, and 100, 0. 70, 30. We just got our middle pivot floating. We're cultivating space and mobility and groundedness. And keeping the heels and toes on the ground when doing these exercises is important. Doesn't mean they can't come off for other exercises. It's just saying this is one where you want to keep them glued to the ground so that when I'm shifting forward, I got to open the quad. I got to lengthen through the tissue of the leg and the knee and the shin and the ankle in order to have this freedom of movement. Now switch again back to the first side. So you bring this back, you change the weight, you stay down through your back leg even as you step, so we're loaded. Now bring your hands up, elbows pulled back, turn the palms forward. Now shift 70% and time this and coordinate it with a push. We've got this full extension. Notice when I'm pushing, I'm not going like this, I'm not like this, I'm not falling out of my stance. I'm perfectly comfortable, and yet I've issued a G or a forward direction, and then wrap the hands around and back. Now as I'm coming back, I'm not going back to fall over, I'm going down and bringing in what I'm bringing in, but it's really, I'm bringing it down to the earth. So hands back, turn the hands. And then I don't lead with the hands and then the body, right? There's this from the earth, through the legs, through the hips, through the arms, like a wave. Turn the hands. This is one of my favorite exercises for feeling the ocean-like quality of our body, that we get this all the way to the end, all the way to the end, all the way to the end without leaving our center. And then down to the earth. Again, it's all the way, 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 all the way. One more. Bring that foot back, change the weight, this other foot a little wide, a little forward, 70, push. And I'll turn sideways again just so you can see that the weight's going down and I'm issuing forward, but I'm not leaning, not pitching forward. Turn the hands in back, but I'm not pitching backward, I'm down. And then, so if you have to push a door open later, you know, one of those double doors, or you got to push something across the room, or you got to move something, keep in mind this idea that most of the time we do it without leveraging this power. We kind of tighten up and we push on it and we crank on it. But if we relax, connect to the earth, and then there's all this power. And again, the power of the ocean sounds like a poetic idea, but it's kind of literal. It's like a literal force that we get to cultivate. We're loaded, and then the wave coming from the depths all the way out, manifest manifesting, and then also this suctioning quality of it. 2 more. And the more our mechanisms are not glued and stuck, the more they're hydrated, loose and plump, pliable and connected, the more we can actually experience the reality of these ideas, like the ocean. And then hands down, wing, roll, pull, settle to your belly. Palms together, rub palms. Rub the back of one hand, palms. Back of other hand, palms. Flop, the inguinal crease. Palms there at a downward angle. Then hip flexors, the front of where the leg and hip meet. Side. So very clear angle change. This was at a V angle. This is sort of a circle. And then tail, sort of again a down and a V-ing quality, but we're trying to clear it out. Then the back, clearing what's the lumbar section of the body. And then we do that squat and sweep down the outside of the legs. Hands come around to the inside of the legs. When you stand up, the hands naturally sweep up the inside of the legs, past the groin to the belly button. Let's do that again. Groin, hip flexors, tail, lumbar or lower back, and then outside of legs as you sit and squat. Come around, inside legs as you stand up, hands to the navel. Last time. Quad, hip flexors, tail, low back, and yang channels, yin channels. And then last little chi reset of the body, yang channel, turn, yin channels, yang, yin, yang, yin, yang, yin, yang, yin. Other side, yang, yin, yang, yin. According to the Taoists and Chinese medicine folk, this is the ideal flow when the body is healthy. So we're just promoting these natural flows. And then last time, Shogun, this gesture of closing down, playtime, chi playtime. The navel you seal, putting a bow on it, putting the cork on it, in it. And then this hand mudra. And thank you, everybody. Great job today. If there are any questions, feel free to unmute and ask.
That was a really